The second generation Nissan Leaf is one of the most affordable new EVs you can buy today. But what if you're shopping for a used model from, say, 2018 and up? Well, there are some things to look out for, plus there is one big concern, and I'll give you the details next. Here we have a factory-fresh 2024 Nissan Leaf, and unfortunately there's really nothing new here for the latest model year, and that's okay. The Leaf is still a decent EV, it's just not sexy or fun. Really, with this car, they focused on affordability. Anyway, how is the reliability, and should you avoid buying a used second-generation Leaf like eating egg salad that's been left out in the sun? Well, according to NHTSA and several other sources, here's the scoop. As before, this car is available with two battery sizes, 40 kilowatt hours and 60. The former provides 149 miles of range and 147 horsepower, while the latter is good for 212 miles on a charge and 214 horses. Now either way, the Leaf's CHAdeMO port will only DC fast charge at up to 50 kilowatts in the US, which is an uncompetitive figure. Also, since there's nothing new, check out my full review of the 2023 model by clicking the link above. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to check when shopping for a used Leaf is actually something that applies to any second-hand vehicle. Make sure any recalls have been taken care of. Now, the second-generation Leaf, which has been offered from 2018 up to 2024, has had a few callbacks, but really not that many. I mean, it's no 2020 Ford Explorer, for instance. Ouch. Anyway, this Nissan was recalled for unintended acceleration when shifting from D to B after disengaging cruise control. Reprogramming a control module is the fix. Next, and this one's pretty ridiculous, but incorrect instructions for operating the defroster were printed in the operator's manual, which is apparently a federal motor vehicle safety standard violation. I mean, who knew? An addendum was mailed to owners to correct this problem. Another recall centered on the display screen, which could actually be adjusted so no image was visible while reversing, which is another safety violation, though one that a software update corrected. And finally, the 2020 Leaf, along with a couple other Nissan models, was recalled because in some vehicles, the rear window glass was not properly attached to the body, which could cause visibility issues. And I imagine leaks if it's raining. But other than those four campaigns, that's really it. The 2021, 22, 23, and 24 model year Leaf hatchbacks do not appear to have any additional recalls, at least not yet. Next up, I'll tell you about the Leaf's biggest weakness, but first, a few issues that owners have complained about. Now, of course, no vehicle is perfect, and drivers have griped to NHTSA about a few different issues regarding the 2018 and up Nissan Leaf. And of course, this includes unintended acceleration, which is never, ever a good thing, though it sounds like this issue may have been addressed by one of those recalls I mentioned earlier. Beyond that, I also saw a few complaints about automatic emergency braking. Apparently, the system occasionally will not apply the brakes when it should, but other times it will hit the brakes when you don't want it to. Reportedly, people have also had issues with e-pedal, which is Nissan's branding for a one-pedal driving mode here in the Leaf, which you can turn on via a dedicated switch right on the center console. Apparently, the system won't slow the car down like you expect it to in some situations. And then another guy was griping about it actually causing the car to accelerate at low speeds in a parking lot when the wheel was turned. So something to be aware of, although that's a pretty weird problem. Another issue I saw on the NHTSA website is for sagging, and I don't mean wearing your pants around your knees. Rather, it sounds like the doors will actually droop a little bit, and I don't know if that's an issue with the hinges or the body structure, or maybe even the door latch striker on, like the B-pillar, for instance. But again, that's just something to look out for if you are shopping for a used Leaf. And finally, I also saw a few complaints about the backup camera not working, but again, that may have been a problem addressed by one of those recalls I mentioned earlier. Overall, this second-generation Nissan Leaf, though, it does seem like a very solid and reliable vehicle. There have been no complaints about, wheels falling off or electric motors catching on fire or interior trim crumbling to dust. So again, this car does sound very reliable, and corroborating that assessment, I've seen many very positive user reviews for this vehicle. Also, I trolled several Leaf forums online, and there were precious few complaints about major issues with this generation of the vehicle. And really the stuff people were griping about were limited range, slow charging, and that silly CHAdeMO port. And remember, this is just a general overview of potential problems, things to look out for if you're shopping for a new or used Nissan Leaf. Of course, there is absolutely no guarantee that the car you buy will have any of these issues or any other problems that haven't been reported. But finally, the most important thing to look out for with this Nissan EV is the lithium-ion battery pack. No surprise there, which is almost certainly the single most expensive part of this vehicle. If you've got to replace one, it is going to cost you thousands of dollars, or euro, or North Korean won, or Sky Miles, whatever. I don't know what currency you use or where you live. This is the internet. You could be watching from anywhere, but just know that it's going to be expensive if you got to do the battery. The issue here is, unlike more modern electric vehicles, the Leaf's battery pack is not liquid cooled, and of course it has no active thermal management. This means the car can perform much worse in extremely hot or cold conditions. Not having liquid cooling also makes it much harder to maintain an even temperature, which can degrade battery life over time, especially in harsh conditions. Now, the good news is the Leaf comes standard with an 8-year, 100,000-mile fully transferable warranty for the battery. And this guarantee covers defects and capacity loss, meaning you're protected if the battery health indicator falls to less than 9 segments on the meter, which is about 75%. So if you're looking at a 2018 Leaf, you've still got 2 more years on the warranty, assuming the last owner didn't drive it halfway across the country every other week. With a competitive warranty, this Nissan, whether new or used, should have no trouble serving you reliably for many years and well beyond 100,000 miles, especially if you take good care of it. Speaking of best practices, click right over here to learn how you can maximize the life of your electric vehicle's battery. Believe it or not, doing a few very simple things can have a huge impact.